Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Many of you are in a transition phase where you're shifting from old timeline to a new one. And it may feel very confusing. It's one of the most painful phases we experience in our lives because we are kinda leaving the old life behind, the life that was familiar, the life that brought to us comfort, the life that was predictable, the life of familiar people, the life of familiar habits, the life of familiar structure and systems and paradigms and beliefs. Suddenly, all of that becomes outdated. And you just don't belong into that life anymore. Suddenly, nothing syncs with you anymore. Nothing fits you anymore. And you feel very confused. Things stop working in your favor. You recognize that everything you've been working in the past just can't function anymore. So you have no other option but to quit and really recognize what is going on, but you can't just find out what is going on. This is how we usually experience this shift from an old timeline to a new one. And it's not a 1 month event, it's not a 1 year event. It depends of how big the transition is for you. So some of us may be experiencing it for 3 years maybe, and some of us may experience it for a few months or few weeks. But the thing is that you recognize if it's happening, that you know this is what is happening. So you don't blame yourself, or you don't blame life, or you don't blame God or astrology or whatever. You recognize you are in a transition phase. Old life doesn't make sense anymore. You don't want to return to an old life. A new one hasn't grounded yet, so you're not really clear what is going on. Your transition phase between the old and new timeline, my friend, is slowly coming to an end, and you're gaining more clarity about this new chapter of your life. New dreams, new purpose, new goals, new energy, and new drive are emerging. Let it settle in. Don't rush it. Trust that everything will unfold, and there will be a timing for everything. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, relax, receive, become. I wanted to give you this message with the painting I've created recently called Grow into Freedom. And there's a message that I've written with it that I want to read to you right now, just to see how many of you will resonate with this. So I've written down, most growth comes from the most unideal places for our progress, because it's in those moments that we learn to be as resourceful as possible. That's when we tap into our creative capacity despite the external pressure and stress. We learn to use our creativity even when we're in survival mode, because there's no other option but to outgrow that place, to rise beyond the suffering and find a way to free ourselves through work, through belief, through forgiveness, through faith, through visualization and trust. And one day, we find ourselves succeeding at something that once felt impossible. It was until you made it possible by refusing to stay the same. You changed so deeply that the inner pull guided you to where you truly belong in this new chapter of your life. So be willing to keep evolving. There's only success and freedom ahead of you. How many of you resonate with this? Because I know there's so many of you here in the community that had quite tough lives, quite a tough journey. So you needed to learn the art of perseverance. You needed to learn to adapt to the circumstances, but never settle. You needed to learn to not lower your standards, even if your life doesn't feel like you're reaching your goals. You've learned to keep striving towards what you feel in your heart that must come true, even though you had no physical evidence that it will ever happen. So you've learned the art of faith that says believe even if you don't have any evidence. That's where you start believing in the power that gives you life and guides you through life and has equipped you with strength and courage and wisdom that allows you to persevere through all the dark phases you've been through. Today I just deeply felt I need to share this with you. I need to share a message that will help you to understand that this is a very sacred time, very sacred phase on your path. Because, well, once the breakthrough will happen, well, many, what you would say, blessings and miracles will follow. But you will treat them very, very intelligently, because this phase right now is teaching you that. It's teaching you to appreciate. It's teaching you to be grateful even when you are the most ungrateful. It's teaching you to be patient when you're the most impatient. It's teaching you to be strong when you're the weakest. And it's teaching you to actually love the opposite side of positivity. To learn to love the feeling of being weak. Learn to love the feeling of not being capable. Learn to love the feeling of being scared. Learn to love the feeling of being angry. Yeah, this sounds very strange to you, but what you're really doing is, instead of avoiding the feelings that live within you, you're now acknowledging them. And this is the other side of you. This is the shadow side of you. And more you become okay with it, more you can relax in knowing that this all will pass. Not because you wait something new, but because it's meant to be. Because life is going on, and seasons change, and cells evolve, and nature blooms. At some point, your life will bloom as well. And something I've learned on my journey is that I used to be very excited for the good things in my life, for the breakthroughs, for manifestations, for joys, for experiencing wins and success in my life. And I've experienced a lot of that. But then I needed to learn to enjoy when these things are not happening as well, because partially I was feeding with it. I was feeding with success. I was feeding with winning. And life started teaching me now also enjoy losing it. Also learn to love losing joy. Learn to love losing maybe results. Learn to love losing what was there to you or what you've been attached to. Learn to love losing it. And that's when I really needed to study nature. I really needed to learn from nature, like how trees can so easily let go of the leaves, and then leaves on the ground become like fertile for the soil. So I've recognized maybe losing what was so there to me will also become a fertile for new growth and new success. And maybe what was a win in the past is not something I should wait in the future. Maybe it will become a fertile for something so much greater and so much more meaningful and fulfilling. So maybe being attached to whatever you have a challenge with, money, maybe relationships, maybe certain work, learning to be okay without it can actually become the greatest source of inspiration and clarity for what to focus on at this point. And then these phases in between one moment of clarity and another are phases of confusion and frustration and anger and outbursts, and it's okay to have them. Give yourself permission to have angry outbursts, to have the outbursts of confusion, to have expressions of worry, to have expressions of doubts. Because also this way you're letting go of leaves. I've learned that it's actually okay to complain this way, to actually, find someone who can listen to you and share it out, bring it out, so you can let it go. Because, your voice is so powerful. And sometimes when an emotion gets stuck in your nervous system, it's not enough just to feel it. Speaking it out gives, creates its way out. So complaining and judging and worrying and doubting out loud with the right person is the most healing thing you can do. So you shouldn't avoid it. You should be conscious that it doesn't become a habit, like constantly complaining and gossiping and judging. But when it's done consciously, you're actually pouring out something that was stuck in your system and was not allowing you to be aligned with life more deeply. So this is all the part of this transition in your life. And my encouragement for you is to be okay with all these experiences, because life is taking care of you, and you've noticed signs before. You've noticed that you're loved. You've noticed that you're protected. You've noticed that you're being taken care of. You've seen all of that. Doesn't matter how much you worry. Doesn't matter how much you're scared. Doesn't matter how much pain you feel. You are still protected, because life doesn't make differences. You may see successful people and you may see broke people. They're both loved by life. And you judge them by your own understanding, but you don't understand that they all live lives that were designed for them, and they've designed them for themselves. So therefore, a successful person is not maybe more blessed than a broke person. And when you stop judging them and you recognize that each of us has our own timeline, and each of us needs to go through our own experiences, and each of us will be triggered our own way, and each of us will experience our own wins, we really stop comparing ourselves, and we stop maybe analyzing how much differently our lives should be compared to what we've seen on social media or somewhere outside. And we recognize, okay, my path is perfect. My path is perfect. And I am embracing it. I am embracing this, knowing that that it's all okay. It's all okay. It doesn't mean I will stop striving. It doesn't mean I will stop pushing forward. It doesn't mean I will stop creating, or I will stop showing up, or I will stop keeping myself accountable. No, it means I will keep going. I will keep showing up. But I will not be in fight with myself if I don't experience results I would love to see, because how can I know what is best for me if I don't know everything? There's something that knows, and maybe many times you need to surrender to that side of you that knows. Find it within you. I found it in quietness, and when my mind has troubles, I go within in quietness so I can understand that it's all okay, that it's all part of this process right now. Many times to outgrow the certain environment means to actually grow deeper roots, so you can draw the resources from the depths of your soul. So when you feel maybe annoyed by where you are, or triggered, or afraid, or frustrated, you actually need to go deeper into you to draw resources from there that can help you to rise above where you are. And it's all due to the inner work you're doing. And so much of your inner work you've been doing is not showing results on the surface because, well, firstly, life must be designed energetically, right? In your vision, in your clarity, in your understanding of where you're going. Even though your path may not be clear, you have a deep sense of what you want for your life. You have a deep sense of what kind of people you want to have around you. And you have a deep sense of what kind of purpose you want to live. And all these things, you feel them because they're already real somewhere in the future. And the timeline you are now stepping in slowly is just giving you more of these glimpses that you are safe, that everything is working out. See this signs as guidance towards it. But don't attach any time when it should happen. Like, oh, it's a sign that until the end of this year it will happen. No, because it will just make more disappointment. Don't attach any time on when it should happen. Because when it will happen, you will know. If it didn't happen, it's still okay. The art of acceptance is that you're okay anyway. You're okay anyway. If it happens, you're okay. If it doesn't happen, you're okay. That's when you know that your body was healed, your nervous system was healed, because you're just relaxed in any moment. You're relaxed, so you're not attached onto an idea of how your life should be. You're just completely okay with how it is. And don't expect from you to accomplish this state in, well, few healing sessions. Just make sure that every single day you have a practice that helps you to relax, that helps you to tap into something deeper, that helps you to maybe sense something from the future. And reminds you of what is coming, reminds you of who you are, reminds you of what's that more authentic side of you that you're integrating and embodying. Because that's when you create a memory of your future. And more you live in the memory of your future, less you live in the memory of the past. And that's when the true forgiveness happens. When through grace and trust, you turn your eyes and your heart towards where you're going rather than where you've been. And when it's hard, you need to practice forgiveness. Like, I forgive myself for being hard on myself. I forgive myself for being maybe toxic for others. And I forgive them who hurt me because they had no idea what they were doing. I forgive that person that made me feel broken because maybe he or she was broken. You know, hurt people, and it's just how it is for now. Forgiving them means that you let go of this idea that because it happened to you, you're a victim. You are maybe a victim of that situation, but you're not a victim of life. And if you've been a victim of any kind of situation, don't take it too personal, because it's not personal. It was that other person's mechanism. And you needed to experience it to understand it. So there's a lot of wisdom in this kind of events. And forgiveness then leads you to seeing the wisdom, because one day maybe you will meet many other people who've been through something like that, and your understanding will actually heal their hearts. So that's why forgiveness is important. Seeing wisdom in events that happen to you. And what it means, seeing wisdom in events that happen to you, it means understanding what you've learned from them. From the most loving and open-hearted perception, to know that, well, if you've been hurt, it means you have capacity to feel. And if you have capacity to feel, then it means that you're alive. And if you're alive, then there's a lot of life inside of you, and that life is seeking to be expressed. And the good question here is, how can I express more life? And that will heal you. Because when I've started expressing my life, my aliveness, through my art, through my videos, I've started my healing journey. I've stopped looking into the past, to what was done to me, and I've started looking into the future, what can be done out of me, what can become out of me. That's when the flower opens and it blooms, so birds can come and butterflies can come and benefit from it, right? So I hope you found some value today in this message with the painting. Grow into freedom, my friend. Grow into freedom, yes. Okay, I will leave you here. Big thanks to all of you for being here, for watching this, for leaving a comment down below of support, of love, of gratitude. Also for others to be inspired by your energy. And big thanks to all of you for supporting my work by buying my paintings. You can buy my original paintings, prints of my paintings, and with that you're supporting this mission and therefore allowing blessings to continue for others. So you're being already a part of this great mission. So thank you so much. And any painting that resonates with you has something to give you. So go and check it out. The link is in the description of this video. And also big thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content, deep guided meditations, podcasts, and so much more. Check it out. The link is also in the description of this video. And till next time, one love.